wipe out, or at least 10,000 of their employees, or should I say ex-employees. Amazon announces, this is from a email that I received from the Daily Upside, which provides news and insight. Under the headline title, Billionaires, Amazon prepares for massive layoffs as Bezos gets in the giving spirit.
Yeah, those two things.
You're
Those two things
talking
sound
into
very
your coffee.
contradictory.
You went to
I'm
talking to your
clearly not
coffee.
awake yet. Those two things sound very contradictory. Laying people off while giving away your money.
So I'm just going to read this real quick. It says that Jeff Bezos giveth and Jeff Bezos taketh away. On Monday, the world's sometimes richest man said he's finally ready to part with a significant amount of his personal wealth, and this time on purpose. The announcement came just as the New York Times reported that Amazon, where Bezos remains heavily involved as executive chairman, despite a highly publicized resignation as CEO last year, is laying off thousands of corporate employees. So much for the benevolent Bezos. Oxymoron, I guess. It says once upon a prime inside of Amazon, Bezos is still a Dickensian? I think they're trying to make a Charles Dickens
Yeah,
reference here, but this
sounds
word
like
that they
it.
made up is boss man, with the company churning and burning through warehouse workers and now slashing 10,000 corporate and tech jobs at the beginning of the holiday season. Outside of Amazon, Bezos has cut a more futuristic bah humbug figure, refusing to sign the Giving Pledge and instead dedicating much of his fortune towards space tourism and a theoretical sojourn to Mars. Do you know what that is?
Like a journey kind of thing, I guess. I don't know.
But now it seems Bezos is getting into the holiday spirit, space tourism. Interesting.
Yeah, because that's where we should be focused as opposed to making sure that people here on actual Earth are taken care of.
I just want everybody to know now. I want everybody watching who's listening. If you can hear my voice and you can't afford basic tourism now and travel and vacation here in on Earth, imagine how much it's going to be in space. You'll never see it. Unless Spirit ends up going in space, and I don't know if you want to take that discount flight out of the atmosphere. So it says the $124 billion man vowed to give away over half of his wealth within his lifetime, finally catching up with fellow multi-billionaires like Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and of course ex-wife Mackenzie Scott. Details remain relatively scarce about where exactly his money will be flowing, but it's fun to think about it. It is fun to think about it because we ain't gonna get it. Now, it says in an exclusive interview with CNN, Bezos announced he's building the capacity to be able to give away the majority of his wealth to fighting climate change and supporting figures who can unify humanity's socio-political divisions. He has already committed $10 billion over the next 10 years to the climate-focused Bezos Earth Fund. Now, I am no rocket scientist. You all may know that by now. But how does trying to travel to space for space tourism help with the climate? I can only imagine how much emissions rockets put off.
Yeah. Well, I guess they're thinking that the amount of rockets are very small. I don't know. They're going to say whatever they need to say to make what they want to do sound okay.
I'm gonna have to do some research to see what the emissions coefficient is on a rocket. So it says that nevertheless, there's apparently not enough left over to keep 10, they're talking about his money, 10,000 office workers on the Amazon payroll, which accounts for the largest payroll wave in company history. The cuts will mostly be in its retail, human resources, and devices like Alexa division after growth at the company slowed to its lowest levels in 20 years. Posing the question, is Christmas canceled? In closing, of course. CNN and Bezos couldn't complete the charity-focused interview without pondering the are we or are we not in a recession question. The former hedge fund trader added himself to the ever-growing list of names whose economic vibe check turned up gloomy. They put a word here, I can't say it. The possibilities say if we are not in a recession right now, we're likely going to be in one very soon. That jives with Amazon's expectation of a muted holiday shopping season this year, though Bezos didn't reveal his forecast for the Ghost of Christmas future, which falls in line with what I was talking about. Holiday shopping season. I've been talking about this for probably at least 60 days now. And the holiday shopping season is going to suck for retailers.
I mean, I was actually online. I had all these coupons for Kohl's and all these things for Dick's Sporting Goods came in, and there's like an extra 40% off sale prices and whatever else. So I jumped on Kohl's website just to look to see what they had. And even with the 40% off or the 30% off, extra $10 off, whatever, the prices weren't absolutely awful, but there was still nothing in there that made me go, I must spend my money right now, today, must buy this.
I mean, one, there's like very little you need. Then you're just buying crap just to wrap to give. And honestly, right now, I would be willing to bet that most folks would prefer to
Money?
have,
Yes,
like
give them the money instead of a gift. Like wrap up a $100 bill in something and let them open that. That makes way more sense right now.
I was going to say like an asset, a cash flow producing asset, not just some junk that, is heartwarming and makes you think that makes them know that you're thinking about them. But simple fact of the matter is it's like times are tough right now and we need to put logic ahead of tradition, perhaps maybe, and wasteful spending.
Well, that's like, I love cards. That's my favorite thing. When you give me a card, it's the absolute best thing for me. And I would rather you give me a card that you have picked out yourself because you like what it says than give me a gift. But if you had to do nothing, I would be okay with that too, because cards now are expensive. I don't want you spending $10 on a card either. You could just jot me a little thing on a Post-it and stick it in an envelope and call it done.
Give somebody a hug.
Yes, actually, that might break a lot of people, honestly, because most people haven't had the same physical interaction the last couple of years that they would have had before. So that hug could mean more than absolutely anything wrapped up with a bow on it.
Basically, show someone you care without just trying to go out and waste money. Now, this is like a give and take because as folks are being more either financially responsible or forced to not buy, it hurts the retail sales, which as I get into this next read about Amazon and these 10,000 jobs cut, hurts jobs.
What would make more sense if Mr. Bezos wanted to be benevolent and help people out and just give away his billions of dollars? Why not give it away to the people who need billions of dollars?
Well, I hear you, but as always, we're going to go back and forth on this, and I have to play devil's advocate here.
Okay.
I went to the gas station the other day. You asked for Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
And as I walked into this tiny little gas station, they had the refrigerator, and they probably had 12 columns of Dr. Pepper fully stocked. Granted, because of how many come in a case, maybe. I don't know. But I'm thinking to myself, I pull one out, and it's just like it didn't even have an effect on the quantity that was
full
available.
it was.
And I'm like, this is an overage. Whereas if there was just one column, it would be enough. But if any of these next to it were empty, it would appear as though it was a shortage.
So what you're saying is everything I have always said. Well, not always. In the beginning, no, because in the beginning, I was as scared as everybody else and looked at it from one angle. Now I'm looking at it from a completely different angle, which is what you just said of is there really a shortage of things or is there an overabundance of certain things?
Exactly. Like I said, I got to get into this next read.
Sorry.
But what I'm saying is perhaps maybe the headline of 10,000 jobs cut from Amazon is the overage. It's the excess of a year and a half ago. Amazon added 100,000 jobs.
Okay. And those 10,000 that are getting cut are the ones who literally clock in and then play on their phone all day because they ain't got shit else to do because there's no real need for them. Is that what you're saying?
Amazon poised to cut. This is the headline here. Actually, shout out to Chris Igo. Go check out Chris Igo's channel. ChrisIgoe. He's in South Florida. He's a real estate agent. But he sent this one to me, and he said, and the headline says, Amazon poised to cut 10K jobs. NYT, New York Times. What if it said Amazon poised to cut 10K jobs of all the quiet quitters we found slacking off?
Well, see, that's where you're wrong. You just put quiet quitters and slacking off into the same category, and that's not what that is. Quiet quitters are the ones who have stopped doing way more than they are paid for, way more than their job title suggests, just because the company doesn't want to hire the other two or three people to do the actual jobs. So you can't clump quiet quitters and slackers into the same category because they are not the same people.
All right, let's just say quiet. Well, okay. Let's just say if they said it was quiet quitters and or slackers,
Okay, there'd be a difference, I guess.
which is kind of like to fire a quiet quitter for only doing their job.
Awful. I mean, they're doing their job. They just aren't going above and beyond for less pay or for no more pay. You know what I mean? Like the whole quiet quitter thing got a bad rap because of the name of it, but really it's just people doing their job and not doing somebody else's job for free.
Yeah, quiet quitter could be synonymous with doing my job.
Think about it this way, you're delivery drivers, okay? Your job as a delivery driver is to pick up the load, take it to the place, and drop it off. It is not to drop it off and then use the forklift of the place to go put it on the shelves of the store. They should have somebody there to do that for them. But if you are expected to then do that also, you are going above and beyond your job and not getting paid for it. So when you say, you know what, screw you, I'm not putting it on the shelves, they're going to consider it quiet quitting, but really you're just going back to what your actual job is.
Yeah, it does get a bad rap from the naming of it. When in all actuality, it's just doing your job and or not going above and beyond for something you're not going to get any recognition or any compensation for. But I do want to go into this one, the share that I received from Chris Igo, and it says that Amazon is poised to cut 10,000 jobs. And this was a question that I actually asked yesterday on a video I posted that asked folks, if you were to lose your job, because I want to backtrack just a little bit. On Sunday, I made a video and I put it up and I said, I guarantee you starting Monday, we're going to have headlines of more job cuts, of more layoffs, of more hiring freezes. I had no idea exactly what was going to happen, but I said, as the week starts, we are going to see that. So yesterday, Monday, I pull up the headline of Amazon is laying off 10,000 employees. So then I asked the question yesterday in my video of, if you were to wake up Monday, be blindsided with a layoff, how soon and how quickly could you replace your income, not your job, but replace your income equal to and or greater than what it was? And, if you guys want to go ahead and comment and let us know what you think about, one, the safety of your income, the safety of your career, the safety of your job and your position. If you are essential, if you are quote unquote recession proof, if you are quote unquote layoff proof. Because some folks said, one of these comments stood out to me, and it says that I am very skilled in multiple trades or a lot of different skills, and I'm a hard worker. And to me, that is not synonymous with being able to replace your income immediately. For instance, let's just say you're very skilled and you're a very hard worker at Amazon, and you get into the 10,000 layoff wave. Well, where are you going to go?
That's the thing. I mean, being a hard worker is absolutely amazing. You want to be able to say you're a hard worker, but that doesn't guarantee that you're going to have a job. Just being a hard worker doesn't mean there's anybody out there to hire you. So you can be a hard worker all you want, but it's not going to bring you any money if there's nobody out there hiring hard workers.
Exactly. Yeah. And, then it's like a matter of, you're a hard worker, great. But what the key was, equal to or greater than your income was. Whereas someone else who may not be as hard a worker as you is willing to take the job for less money. They just cut you out. They just cut you out.
I mean, that's like in the construction industry. We saw that all the time. You'd have contractors out there that, whether it was painting, framing, roofing, whatever, you'd have one that said, oh, I'll do the job for 10,000. Next one comes in and goes, I'll do it for 9,500. And as a business owner, generally speaking, you want to be able to save money. So a lot of people would go for the cheaper option, not even knowing if that was a better option, honestly. But there's so many people out there willing to undercut somebody to get what they want that...
In my opinion, I could only safely say that I could replace my income if I lost my quote unquote job. if one, I was already being recruited and I had offers that I was sitting on or negotiating, or if I personally had my own income streams, multiple income streams that I controlled, that I could either say, all right, I'm going to ramp up, I'm going to scale, I'm going to devote more time and energy towards because I'm not working this 9 to 5, versus I'm a hard worker. Nothing wrong with that. It's great. We need more of them. But in this economy, you don't have that control. Here's the other thing. You don't have that control. And oftentimes the companies and businesses don't have that control either. Case in point, I'm the top car salesman.
That's great until there's no cars to sell.
That's great until interest rates go through the moon, go to the moon, and people can't afford to buy these cars. They can't afford to finance these cars. That's great until car prices are
Astronomical.
and you know that what Jeff was talking about, that space tourism. That's where the car prices are. In
Yes.
space. That's great until auto manufacturers start cutting out the dealerships and going direct to consumer. Tesla's already done it. They started that way. Ford is going to do it next.
I watched a video on, I think it showed up, I don't know if it showed up on YouTube or TikTok or Facebook yesterday or whatever, but it was a video of some parents taking their kid to a Carvana to have a car delivered, and it showed how the car is delivered and everything else, and I was like, man, that is way cooler than going to a regular dealership and waiting for them to bring it out front, and there's no bells and whistles there. It's not nearly as cool as this little platform that spins it around. I mean, Porsche does the same kind of thing, but I can see Carvana style things for each manufacturer being what it is. You just go to a Nissan, what is that, tower kind of thing, and you put in your number and drop in the money for a car, and then it pops out like a
Now, if we
vending
want to get
machine.
into the discussion of which car sales positions and companies are going to be safest, I'm putting Nissan at the bottom of the list
Oh,
because
okay,
Nissan
great.
is making so many terrible decisions. Nissan is making so many terrible decisions. Carvana is potentially going to go bankrupt. You know, it's a cool little gimmick, but their business model, they're heavily in debt, they're over leveraged, and they've paid too much for the inventory that they have, and they're in a tough position. Now, who do I think is going to survive? Mercedes. I think
the
Mercedes.
higher-end cars,
I
honestly.
think Mercedes is going to survive. I think even Range Rover could possibly survive, even with their poorly created vehicles. But it's the folks right now who are higher priced vehicles that have wait lists, especially Mercedes AMG, which is their most expensive line. People are like shelling out money and just waiting for them. Porsche is going to be number one. Porsche is going to be number one because Porsche is not necessarily like literally just buying a car. Porsche is literally buying into an investment, plain and simple. And then it's like, well, if you think that you're going to be the top salesperson, well, good luck fighting your way into Porsche because
It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Once you're in there, I mean, that's like a government job or a seat in the House for the Senate. Once you're in, you're kind of in.
So, you know, they are going to be perfectly fine. And it's going to be, you know, I think Honda and Toyota, they have their place, but then there's going to be some others that fall by the wayside. But I think that, you know, you could look at it from the standpoint of I'm a hard worker, you know, I'm very skilled. But if the auto industry is taking a drastic change, which we're seeing it happen, it doesn't matter how hard a worker you are, how skilled you are, there aren't people out there to make the purchases.
And the ones who are making purchases are making it from the higher end manufacturers who have a better longevity of their cars, because you don't want to put money in, you don't want to spend cheap to get something that breaks down faster. A lot of people are willing to spend a little bit more for something that's going to last much longer, especially in a company that you have faith in that it's not going to go belly up.
But that's the other thing. It's like, even if, you know, if you look at it, two sides of the coin here, if you lost your job at Porsche, you could easily go to Jim Ellis, Chevrolet, probably, and go get another job.
Didn't he pass away last week, Jim Ellis?
Senior?
The main CEO of it?
Yeah, I think so. How old was he?
In his 50s or 60s?
Yeah, he wasn't that old.
He wasn't old.
So, but then you got if you lost your job at Chevrolet, you're not going to run the Porsche.
No, because they're gonna be like, oh, so you sold a pickup truck? That's not gonna help you over here.
Now
Different
let's
clientele generally
now
too.
let's just say you could. Let's just say you could. The key is replacing your income equal to or greater. And Porsche salespeople are now making money from the work that they did a year and a half ago.
True.
So even if you showed up today, there's no, granted, you have the used cars that you could try to sell, but odds are you're going to make your money on the new cars, and they are 2 years plus out.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to replace your income equal to or greater for a very, very long time. How many people can lose their job and afford to work 2 years without getting a paycheck?
Very true. So they're talking in the comments here about getting extra jobs to, continue prepping and things like that. But do you remember when we were in the beginning of everything, I worked 3 jobs to make sure we were good. Like you worked 80 hours a week, whatever. I was working 3 jobs, sleeping maybe 2 hours a day. This is when we had the kid too. Like she was tiny. And it was easier then to go out because everybody was hiring somebody. Like I could work 3 jobs and be okay. Now if you went out and tried to get 3 jobs, it would be very, very difficult to find 3 jobs. Plus, it'd be difficult to find 3 jobs that even paid you enough to make having 3 jobs worth it. The transportation between the 3 jobs, the lack of sleep, the childcare if you needed that, the uniforms or the whatever else you may possibly need to go with those 3 jobs.
I actually remember that because it was the beginning of everything. Not just us, but this was 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
So, it was already a tough economic time. And I said, we're going to get married, we're going to have a kid, and we're going to buy a house. But I wasn't lying to you, but I had no idea how that was going to happen. I had no clue how that was going to happen. But,
We figured it out.
I said, that's what's going to happen. As we were living in an extended stay hotel for paying by the week.
Yeah.
With all we had was a little mini fridge and a microwave. So I sold my car that was too expensive.
Got a $500 beater.
Got a little $500 car, and you kept the good car, obviously for the safety of transporting a child, and the job was paying good, and they allowed pretty much limitless overtime. And all I said, like, if we weren't like terrible, but it was like, well, if I can get it now, I'm gonna get it.
Exactly. Same
I'ma
thing.
get
I had the energy and ability to work 3 jobs, so I'm gonna work 3 jobs, and we're gonna stack up what we can while we can.
And this actually reminds me of another comment on yesterday's video, or maybe in a community poll, and someone said that I would just work more DoorDash. I would just work more of the gig work. And I think she said DoorDash, which is cool, but I don't think that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that you can just work more DoorDash. Sort of. You can make yourself available more, but just because you make yourself available more doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make more.
And there's still hours to it. I mean, there's still places you can't, most places aren't making food at 3 a.m. for you to deliver. So it still comes down to, unless you want to deliver Waffle House all day long, there's still going to be time restrictions based off of the places that will be open to serve food or whatever else.
But not just that. If we're having a discussion and conversation about mass layoffs, thousands of layoffs from a company that some would think, Amazon, really? Then we are in dire straits, which means that more than likely this online shipping giant is going to be a precursor to the DoorDash, which is an online ordering facilitation position. Don't you think that these folks are going to be cutting back too?
More than likely.
Not DoorDash, but the consumers.
The consumers, because not only do you have to pay for the food, you have to pay the fee to have DoorDash pick it up, then you have to pay the tip to have it delivered. So a lot of people will, over time, do that less and less, I would assume.
And a comment here, Spoetry Queen says, you pick the jobs you want to take with DoorDash. I get it. But just because you decide you're going to do it longer doesn't mean that the jobs are going to, more profitable jobs are going to show up. More jobs are going to show up depending on what area you're in. And it's like,
And then you're spending more fuel and whatever else.
if you say, oh, well, I'm in a rural area, Okay, well, great. Then I would assume that you're probably going to be few and far between. Okay, I'm going to go to a more urban area. Okay, well, now you're more saturated and you have more competition. So I don't think that it's as simple as I'll just do more DoorDash. Maybe perhaps I'll add to my DoorDash and I'll do every app, every gig at the same time. But I don't think you just say, I'll do more and that's going to increase your income or even match your income if you were to lose a portion of your income from your 9 to 5, let alone we haven't even gotten into the discussion of the higher fuel prices, which are coming. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at the video I posted yesterday about OPEC because the higher fuel prices are coming. And I highly doubt that the increase in fuel costs are going to be immediately and directly reflected on these apps like DoorDash. I don't see it happening. But quickly, finish up this article here. Amazon poised to cut 10,000 jobs. And it says that Amazon plans to start letting go of 10,000 corporate and tech employees. And this is the most important part about this. This is about 3% of white collar staff. And they're saying that it's going to happen as soon as this week. And this article came out yesterday. This is according to the New York Times. And it says that the cuts, also reported by Reuters and the Wall Street Journal, will be the biggest in the history of the e-commerce giant. This is only the beginning, folks, and would target units where growth is slowing amid a drop-off in pandemic online sales. I'm going to read that again. I'm going to target units where growth is slowing amid a drop-off in pandemic online sales. The game of musical chairs that I was telling you about, the music is stopping.
So my first thought when you read that was white collar jobs. My first thought was, well, at least it's not the blue collar jobs, honestly. Like that was my first thought. But the white collar jobs are also the same ones who have been in the whole thought process of, oh, I'm safe. My job is good. I'll be fine. I make good money. I can keep going.
Well, it kind of ties into the warehouse too. So it says that retail, human resources, and the devices unit that houses virtual assistant Alexa are going to be affected. And the retrenchment by the e-commerce giant during the peak holiday shopping season underscores the economic uncertainty facing businesses, especially in technology. So we know that the holiday season is going to be a bear. Now, the company reduced headcount by 80,000 employees from April through September. Do you know how they did that?
How?
Mostly through attrition. So this is going to include the warehouse. What happens is attrition is basically people who just quit showing up. Attrition is what memberships really rely on, like gym memberships. They want folks to sign up. They want folks to pay. They want an automatic draft, and they want you to forget about it and quit signing and quit showing up. Well, when it comes to employment, attrition just means the employees that just fall off. So what Amazon is doing is they're cutting 10,000 jobs. But here's the other thing they're doing. They're not replacing 80,000 jobs. So we have a combined total here of 90,000 jobs lost.
Well,
80,000 through attrition, 10,000 through a cut. And it also says here, Amazon has enacted a frozen hiring at both the corporate and hourly level. They're done. People are going to leave, they're going to quit, they're going to get fired, they're going to lose their jobs on their own, perhaps maybe through not doing their jobs or quiet quitting or slacking off or whatever you want to call it, and they're not going to hire any more back.
They're just going to make the ones who are still there do more.
And they're going to cut more jobs, and they're going to issue a hiring freeze. So they're in cut mode, I guess. Basically, they bulked up. They bulked up for the winter, and now it's cutting season. And all of these jobs that were coming to Amazon, all these great wages and all this, that, and the other, it is over.
You know what's really funny about that? It's over, and they're not going to hire more and all this other stuff while the company is still making billions in profit, because that is more important than making sure people have jobs.
What is important is a budget. And these businesses have budgets, and no one should be operating any budget in a deficit, which is why it's important for everybody to pay attention to what's going on, but also think like businesses and realize we have to maintain a certain level, at a minimum, of profitability and continue to grow.
Correct.
That's what they're doing.
Correct.
That's what they're doing. This is effectively 90,000 jobs cut by Amazon so far, and this is only going to grow as more employees get fired, laid off, quit, terminated, temporarily, cut their hours. If they cut your hours, then it's just like you're going to have to quit anyway because they're trying to choke you out.
That's the point.
Especially and then you got the unions and things like that. That's going to add some little complexities to it. But they're saying that the pandemic growth is done. This is a clear sign that we are in a recession, plain and simple. The consumer ability, the consumer confidence, the consumer spending, the holiday season, this is the beginning. And we're going to see, more than likely, I would say by spring, we're going to see a collective total of 200,000 jobs cut from Amazon.
So here's my question. Is it a recession or is it just everything going back to normal after everything went haywire and got inflated? Like hire all these jobs, do all this. And now they're like, scale back, scale back.
It's similar. It's similar to the shortage versus overage. But in comparison to where we were a year ago, technically we have to say it's a recession.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I will say I've seen signs for hiring Amazon drivers still. So there may be a hiring freeze. They may say that, but they still, from what I have seen in places like Whole Foods, they have the Amazon signs up because they have Amazon lockers there. They've got all kinds of Amazon stuff around since they own them. And there are signs at Whole Foods that they are still hiring drivers.
So Amazon drivers are independent contractors, and odds are...
So not W-2, so that's not part of the hiring freeze.
Well, odds are if you were to apply, you would never speak to Amazon.
How are they independent contractors, but you drive Amazon
It's a licensing deal. It's just like FedEx Ground. It's a licensing deal. You have independent contractors. It's just like a franchise. So it's like, I'm going to open a restaurant. You could open your own, or you could choose to sign on
Chick-fil-A
with a
on there.
franchise and get access to their licensing and their ingredients and things like that. It's just a licensing deal, which, we've seen some restaurants actually separate themselves from the franchise to go on their own.
Yeah.
But that's just all it is. So odds are when you see that, you'll look like you work for Amazon and deliver for Prime, but you don't.
Okay.
These are independent companies that buy Mercedes vans and Ford Transits, and then they get them in the Amazon labeling and wrap, but they're independent contractors.
Okay, that makes sense.
But folks, I want you guys to all pay attention. This is a big deal. This is a huge indication. Check this out. This is a huge indication of what we are going to be experiencing coming here soon. And the headlines are a little bit misleading because 10,000 jobs are being cut, but 80,000 jobs were lost, and they're not going to replace them. They've enacted a hiring freeze. So effectively, they're saying that 90,000 jobs since April are gone, and they're not coming back.
Now, somebody says here, I wonder what will happen to the people who Amazon is paying their tuition. Remember, Target did that too. You got hired on with Target. They would help pay for college and things like that. So what happens when they realize that the ones they've hired and they're paying for school for, they're like, you're kind of a double whammy. You're the first to go. So not only have you lost your job, you've lost your ability to continue towards a degree.
I would pose the question of, if anyone is in that situation or knows anyone, please, let's get together. Let's communicate, and perhaps maybe we could do a interview and see where this is going. But odds are with a company like Amazon, sorry.
Yeah, they're going to do it. I hate it for you. Yeah.
Hate it for you. But again, this is why I stress a budget. This is why I stress, not over leveraging yourself with credit card debt, which Amazon is another one with their, sign up for the Amazon Prime credit card.
Oh, yeah. Every time you go to sign up for something, it's like, would you like to save $50 off this order? All you got to do is sign up for the credit card. You can use it at Whole Foods too.
Budget is huge. Budget is important. And more important than that is going to be, more so than ever. Honestly, guys, I'm just saying, a lot of people, sometimes they talk crap about me, about the videos I make and the things that I talk about or whatever their
Those people can kick rocks.
The opinion that they form of me immediately without even watching the video and actually listening to what I'm saying. But what I'm telling you guys is the truth. The budget is huge, but your income is probably even more so important. So when I say prep, when I say your prep, I'm talking about your financial prep, which I've been talking about all along. And the simple fact of the matter is that if you don't have a way already to replace, supplement, and or increase your income, then you are walking that tightrope above, hundreds of feet above everyone else in the crowds looking at you. And if you fall, there's no net to catch you.
And most people won't reach out to help catch you either.
No, you're going to fall. You're going to plummet. That's going to be the end of you. And, everyone's going to be like, oh, that's too bad. It sucks. And at the end of the day, it's like you could have had a net if you were doing the things you needed to do to start building businesses, becoming your own CEO, starting an LLC, getting something off the ground. Like I said, just make $1. Just make one. If you can make one, you can make two. And then it can grow from there, and not over leveraging yourself with credit card debt and taking on too many loans, and having multiple streams of income, preferably streams of income that can essentially become passive streams of income. So you're not trading your time directly for dollars, and you're not working for the economy, but instead the economy is working for you. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys real soon.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.